Hey Internet, it's RJ. Welcome back. Thanks for tuning into the show today. As we're ready to close out the month of July, you know how we do it here in typical fashion. We have the classic monthly Q&A. So, you know the deal, Riddler goes up. I have your questions right here. We're going to go through them. We've got everything from, my thoughts on Capital One versus Citi. What can the Sapphire Reserve do to improve its standings? And someone's going to make me an offer for my watch. We'll see how this goes. So, of course, chapters 2 will be down below if you want to jump around. But got a lot to cover here, so let's go ahead, press the subscribe button, and let's get to work. Now, batting leadoff here, we have Phoenix checking in. His is do the cashback earnings on the Capital One Saver cards count as miles on their program. So it's one of those things that Capital One needs to get better at, articulating what the heck it is their cards are and how they work. My understanding, and I looked this up before we jumped on air here, is that yes, if you have a Saver, even a Quicksilver that earns cashback, if you have the Venture card, which I assume the Venture X works as well, you can go into your portal, move those over to your card, and they become miles. I think that's the easiest way to do it. Now, how easy is it, I should say? I don't know. So if someone has both of these cards, let us know down below. But overall, it's one thing Capital One should talk more about, because the Saver, the Quicksilver, and the Venture X is not a bad trifecta. Honestly, yes, some of the cards need to get buffed a bit, but not a bad trifecta. So yeah, I believe you can do that, which wouldn't be a bad setup. So Curmudgeon, next up here. Do you invest in ETFs? What's your favorite platform? How about robo-advisors? So, admittedly, I'm not super financially responsible. I'm really good at credit cards and bank accounts because I find them fun. There was a time where I was doing Robinhood and trading a little bit, things like that. So I don't have anything active. At one point, I was like, hey, I'm going to buy another house, and then that didn't happen right away. So I need to do something with the money now. So if I did do ETFs, which I don't currently, I'm not against them. I'd prefer them because I'm not super interested in trading, but set it, forget it deal. The Vanguard was the Vanguard one that tracks the S&P 500. I hear good things about that one. I think Fidelity has one too. I don't know the names of all of them. I can try to find them, put them on screen. I would probably go with those. It's something I need to get back into because, again, while we have the other channel about bank accounts, putting all your money just going after bank bonuses is fun, but it's probably not the most responsible thing to do. Robo-advisors, I had Wealthfront at one point. I tried that for a little bit. It was okay. There wasn't really a problem with the platform or anything. I probably could have gone there and tweaked my settings some more to kind of just get it more aggressive so you can get some better returns. But I had it for a few years. It really didn't do much for me, so I stopped using it. But again, I'm not going to make that an indictment on the platform because I really don't think I went in there and tried to tweak everything the way I needed it or really looked into it. So nothing at the moment, but it's something I definitely do need to get into. So if you've got someone you watch or some tips, drop them down below for me. K. Roddy here, frequenter of the show. He said, what's the smallest payout / benefit point, money, points, or credit you got for the biggest hassle or hoops to jump through? You dealt with one where you had to say that was totally not worth it. I sign up for everything, and a lot of this stuff ends up not being worth it when it comes into a fight with the bank. So because you said I had to get paid out, then there's really only one, because I've gotten some arguments with other banks and things like that, but they didn't pay out. Now, the one that did pay is a really quick, funny story. So you guys know John, the grandfather of the bank bonus hunting game. He called me up one day. He's like, hey, man, SoFi has this deal where you can we can refer each other for a personal loan, like $5,000 personal loan. They'll pay you out $310. So we read the terms and conditions. It didn't say you had to hold the loan for any amount of time. So of course we do. I'm like, I knew this wasn't gonna work. I just had a bad feeling about it, But we do it. He did get paid, so I get it. They deposit the money. I pay it off, almost all of it off in a few days, right? So you don't want to eat the interest on $5,000. I paid it down to maybe $5, and I checked back because normally SoFi pays out pretty quick, but they had written off the remaining $5. Kind of told me, hey, you paid it back so fast they didn't have time to sell the loan, so they just said whatever. And then after that, it was a lot of phone calls. I'm like, hey, when am I going to get paid out? And they're like, oh, you have to sign this form that no one told you about signing because it's a different section of the platform. Were you ever going to tell me? No. And then months later, finally they did pay, but considering all the other bonuses I have, that really wasn't worth the headache and the $300 and constantly following up and opening tickets and all that. I knew it wasn't going to work, but I signed up for everything. I couldn't resist. Anyways, ballin' here. What are your thoughts on the Yada bank account? I have been getting higher returns on than other high yield savings accounts, but I'm curious why you don't think it's more mainstream compared to the big guys. Well, two things. I mean, I think it's an interesting concept. When I first saw it, I kind of thought it was gimmicky. I still think it's a little gimmicky, honestly, but it does work for people, right? Like you say, hey, you're doing better on that than you are other. It's great. So for those who don't know, like the Cliff Notes version is, it's basically it's a savings account, but then it's kind of like a spin on the lottery. So based on how much you have in savings, you get like, basically digital lottery tickets, not to the real lottery, but to like to their lottery. And then, you can win prizes, like I think cash prizes, higher interest, things like that. That's kind of how it works, super high level, and I think overall it's supposed to make saving more interesting to folks, say, hey, don't put your money in the lottery, put it over here, and you're guaranteed to get, at least a better savings rate than the big guys. But I think that's kind of confusing for a lot of people. They're like, wait a minute, what do I have to do? How does this work? I think that's tough. It's a tough sell. And then number two, like I don't really see them anywhere anymore. I don't see the advertising, and that's kind of, yes, we all hate when people do reads on YouTube videos, but at the same time, if no one does a read on a YouTube video, then no one knows you exist, right? So I haven't seen referral bonuses or things like that going on right now for them. Like, I'm tired of hearing about Webull. I really wish everyone would just get their 2 free stocks so we could be done with it. But everyone knows about Webull because they're on all the channels. So to answer your question, I think to the average person it's complicated, and I just don't see them making the marketing push that they were anymore. But if it's working for you, I think that's great. All right, so NS, which is a better points program, Citi, thank you, or Capital One, and why? I mean, I think it's almost personal preference, which is probably not going to like that answer, but I think it's really personal preference. They're pretty similar-ish. Both have went through and updated their weaknesses. Citi went through and said, hey, we're going to make all the cards earn thank you points now, right? That's perfect. One common currency. Capital One went through and said, hey, all of our transfer partners are going to be 1-to-1 now. I think they even have a lot of overlapping transfer partners as well. So, I mean, if I want to go points program, me personally, I like Citi, but I like their cards better. I like the custom cash, double cash. Citi Premier would be the best all-around card if it was a true MasterCard World Elite. Now, when you talk about redemptions, though, in my mind, Citi is a cashback system. I don't see Citi as travel because they've pulled all their World Elite benefits, and yes, they have a transfer partner, but I don't see that in Citi. If I wanted a travel program, then I would probably look at Capital One. And the reason I look at Capital One is because, again, they redid, the venture is, so tightly integrated into their redemption. You can earn 2x miles back on everything. You're going to get more multipliers when you redeem that way or when you book with the card through the portal. So I think that's what it comes down to. If you're just straight cash back, I think Citi. If you want travel, then I go Capital One. But again, a lot of it's going to be personal preference. Which cards do you like? Which transfer partners do you like? What kind of redemptions do you like? So I think I answered your question. I think I answered it without answering it, but that's my call. So if anyone has any experience redeeming for travel with those guys, you can definitely let us know down below. But that's kind of my thought. Justin Robinson with a classic here. Even though people say the Sapphire Reserve is more difficult to get than the Amex Platinum, do you think Chase will add more lounge accesses, perks, etc. to compete? Do you think Chase partnership with Uber rather than Lyft will help the Sapphire? I think they're going to have to because the Sapphire is under attack on 2 fronts. The Sapphire Reserve is dead in the middle. And you have Capital One that we just talked about coming with the Venture X. And then on the other side of that, on the high end, you have the Platinum card. And truth be told, I'm not directing this at you or anyone. Just the Platinum card and the Sapphire Reserve card is actually not the right comparison. The Reserve almost tracks better to the Gold card, in my opinion. The Platinum is trying to do something completely different. But again, to your exact point, the perception of the world is this is your flagship card, and that's their flagship card. They should fight. And I think it's a reality Chase has to deal with. So it's a real simple fix, in my opinion. I think they have to add United Club access like the JP Morgan Reserve has, but then there's no difference at all between the JP Morgan Reserve and the Sapphire Reserve. But does anyone with the JP Morgan Reserve even know or care? Probably not. They need to call Hyatt, get a level of Hyatt status going on the card, and then they need to see if that Marriott Gold can be made permanent, make the Lyft multiplier permanent. And between Uber and Lyft, I don't know if it really makes that much of a difference. I don't have a preference in service. Lyft multiplier is pretty good. I'm surprised they haven't made a Lyft credit card at this point. But yeah, I think Uber is probably pretty embedded with Amex at this point. But yeah, if they do those things, I think it's competitive again. But right now, if you have no cards and you want one, I tell you to get the Venture X. If you have a bunch of Chase cards, then you get the Sapphire Reserve, but they're almost too dependent on the trifecta. So yeah, I think those would be decent changes to make for sure. So here we go. Inevitable here, some travel stuff. Can you do a future video on how to book business class flights with points? I wanted to do an ANA booking to Japan using Amex to Hawaiian City. Okay, so Yeah, I mean, admittedly, this is one of the things that I'm weakest at is actually travel redemption stuff. So I can do it. So a lot of people in the comments actually said, hey, check out Ben Hedges, who was a credit chief who would ask Sebi. So I think short term, you should absolutely check those guys out, and because it would be better than me trying to string together an answer for you right this given moment. So a little bit of backstory. What I'm trying to do is go through the main channel page and say, hey, these are all the videos I need, organize them cleanly in playlists and shelves so people can find what they need. So what I'm learning is I need a travel section because there's still interest in travel, and that's like half of this game. So I can look into it. I can definitely learn up on that. It probably won't be like in the near future, so don't wait on me to make that booking. And again, I don't want to Again, I appreciate you asking the question. I'm going to look into that. I'm going to get a playlist going for that. But I got to get up to speed, so I would rather tell you to check out people we know do it, know how to do it immediately, than try to pretend that I know how to answer that immediately for you. So I don't know that I answered your question, but points for honesty maybe? So yeah, but we'll definitely get something going for you. All right. Jeremy, good friend of the show here, says, RJ, love the monthly Riddler puzzles. Welcome. So if you guys ever wonder his question, if you ever wonder where some of the stories from the recaps come from on Sunday, this gentleman tends to submit a lot of them in here for review, and we appreciate that. So here's what he wants to know. How about what made you go Team Cashback and pretty much get rid of most of the high annual fee credit cards, specifically Amex? Biggest bank bonus and credit card bonuses you ever got? What's next? All right, we're going to go with a few of these, man. So what made me switch or get rid of a lot of the annual fee cards is I just got tired of paying them. I got tired of jumping through all the hoops with the platinum and the gold. I really it put me in a bad mood to have to drive past 15 restaurants to go to one to pick up some Uber food, right? Things like that. And a lot of it's about how you travel. I mean, even when I have a ton of points, I was always looking at how do I stretch out my points so I can make them last longer versus how do I make my points go to these basically it's an inevitables question, right? How do I make my points go to like doing business class in Japan or things like that? I never looked at it like that because I was like, well, how do I stretch my points out so I can not pay cash for the longest amount of time, right? And you don't need the fancy cards for that because if you get even if you go to hotels, getting an upgrade is also partly dependent on, did you go to a place where upgrading matters? And a lot of times I stay at places that, what are they going to upgrade you to? The first or the fourth floor? It doesn't really matter that much. So I ditched them for that reason because it really didn't fit in with how I do things. And that's partly why I'm bad at answering questions like the inevitables. So the other one I'll give you, the biggest bonus by far was that Wells Fargo business account bonus that we hit. So I have another channel, shameless plug, as good as any. It's called Run on the Bank. I'll link it down below where we talk about bank account bonus hunting, and you can basically stack it with credit card offers and make a ton of money. Hopefully we walk you through it if you're interested down below. So the biggest bonus was Wells Fargo had deposit $5,000 for 60 days and they paid you $1,500. I think I talked about it before. I ended up road tripping to Illinois because you had to open it up in branch, and I also picked up the Wells Fargo Platinum card. Not a great card, but $300 bonus as well, so $1,800 in one trip. Now those bonuses don't happen often, but that was the biggest one by far that I got. So overall, it's a good time. You can make a lot of money doing that. So I think we'll go with those two questions for now. But again, if you want more bonus stuff, check it out on the other page for sure. But that was a fun time. All right, Matt checking in. Say, RJ, I'm interested in the Amex personal checking with debit card, but also there is no bonus. Any idea if Amex ever offers a sub on the personal? So basically, I don't have to plug my other channel anymore because you guys do it for me, which I appreciate. They've offered $300 on the checking, the cabbage business checking, and the regular business checking. So personally, I would not open their personal checking until I see a bonus. I have no insights on if they'll do it. They're probably coasting on the name a lot right now, right? Because it's Amex and people like Amex. So I don't expect a bonus anytime soon. It's kind of like the Apple Card had no bonus and eventually they came up to $75. But that took a while, right? Before the name wears off. So I wouldn't, if you're in need of a checking account, we have so many with bonuses right now. I would do those versus do one that's not giving me a bonus. And I would just save that one because it's really not that special of an account. You can only redeem the MR points for 0.8 cents. It can be 1 cent, I think, if you have the platinum cards on the business one. So yeah, it's really not that special of an account. So I would just sit tight and wait because as soon as they offer a bonus, I'm going to make a video about it on the other channel. So hang tight. I don't know when it's coming though, but I'm going to imagine it's coming because clearly they know it works. All right, and next up we have Stanley Martin Jr. checking in here. So he's saying, hey, RJ, enjoy the content. Hope I'm becoming a friend of the show. Of course, you're a friend of the show, sir. You take the time to write in, you watch, you comment, and talk to you quite often. You know, I appreciate you. You're definitely a friend of the show. So he says, hey, with only Wells Fargo coming out with new cards this year, do you think banks and credit card companies are running out of ideas for new cards? Reaching a saturation point. I mean, no, I don't think they're running out of ideas. I think it's actually a little bit of the opposite. I think we as a collective are running out of cards that we actually need in our system outside of large sign-up bonus, right? We just saw the Instacart one, which is a good card. It's pretty niche. You talked about the autograph card. PayPal came out with a new business card. As some folks added here, IG did refreshes. We saw the Ink Premier. So there are cards coming out. It's just like how many move the needle for us, right? Like that's really the thing. You know, for me, at least, I'm looking for high sign-up bonuses or a card that fills a specific niche. We can move, but we're talking about can move me up from 4 to 5x, which is not a common thing. So again, cards are still kind of made for the mainstream people, right? And, you know, we're not them. So I think there's still cards coming out and still different concepts, especially in the fintech neobank space, because now everyone wants a card that keeps you in their ecosystem, like M1 Owners Rewards or, again, like Instacart, things like that. So we're seeing that. But, again, a lot of us, we're trying to make our own ecosystem. So I really just think it's not a lot of cards. New cards are appealing to us. I mean, the last card that we went crazy for was still the Freedom Flex and the Citi Custom Cash, right? But outside of that, we've had new cards. The autograph card, sure, but you did mention Wells Fargo. There's like 3 cards that we've went crazy for in like the last since 2020, but there have been a lot more new cards. Trust me, I talked about the Air Canada card last year. Like a lot of new cards just don't get a ton of views in this audience because we're like, yeah, that doesn't help me out. Doesn't make it a bad card, just like doesn't help me out. So I don't think we're out of ideas. I just think, a lot of us have 10, 15 cards, and so it really takes a lot to move the needle personally. Credit Frog here says, what are your top 5 spending categories excluding rent and mortgage, and what cards would you use to get 5% all the things? I mean, my top 5 spend categories is probably nothing crazy. I mean, it's like, I would say groceries is separate than household stuff, because I can buy household stuff off Amazon. Then you have crazy things like buying a lot of tech stuff, as you can see behind me, stuff like that. So nothing too crazy. But the cards I've found, not counting the category cards, I mean, I got the Cash Plus card to get 5% back on gym membership, which is only $30 a month, and of course the utilities deal. I did pick up the Huntington Voice Business card, which is 4% back on a category of your choice, up to $7,000 and spend a quarter. I got that for groceries. I still looking at the Altitude Go at some point for 4% back on dining. I was going to pull the trigger on the Amazon card, but I don't really need it right now because I still have such high Amazon balance. Custom Cash is in there, obviously, the easy 5%. But really, the 5% is kind of almost seems left for the quarterly cards, and there's a lot of cards out there that can get you 4%, like PNC Cash Rewards cards can get you 4% on gas. That's on the list as well. So I'd say kind of cards like that, but I have been going through the exercise in my head of like, hey, what are the cards I need to get at least 4 to 5% back on everything? Ink Cash cards always a staple in there as well. So if you got some examples of recommendations, throw them out. But those are the cards I just mentioned that I'm either trying to get or just gotten to maximize all those categories. But then you guys know me, I'm a big gift card person anyways, so there's that. But yeah, I'll take recommendations for sure. Red Sox, here we go. If you were running for president, what policies would you run on? This is actually like maybe the most reasonable question you've ever asked. Would you eliminate the federal government? No, I wouldn't eliminate the federal government, but all I'd say is, hey, we do need some lines between like what is the government responsible for and what is it not, right? A lot of times, we talk about well, the government wants to do like everything, but we can't do everything. There's a clear set of things the government should be responsible for. Infrastructure, roads, things like that. And then can we get out of the business of doing everything else? Because you'd be surprised how much money you'd free up if you only focus on a few things instead of trying to do everything for everyone and then doing it all pretty poorly, in my opinion, even though it could be well-intentioned. Other thing would be, I think we've learned from YouTube that you make money off of monetization. So if I want to adjust a tax program, I'm going to look, can I monetize things, right? I got these you'll like this, these Trump hearings, right? These January 6th hearings. There's no reason at all why they don't run all these in prime time and they don't monetize the heck out of them, right? The TV networks are making money off of them, right? Right and left. CNN's running it all the time, talking about it. The only one not making money about it, only spending money, is the government. They're missing very easy opportunities to make money. So out of that, can we just get focused on what the government's responsible for? Can we find out easier ways to generate revenue that is not taking it from the people? I wouldn't make it very far, but I would try. All right, Jose here. We've seen changes with the Amex Marriott branded personal and business cards lately. Do you think we'll see a super premium Marriott card released this year with a higher fee and maybe platinum status? I'd like to see new cards, right? Because we got, Stanley Martin here wants new cards. I like to see new cards. Will they do it? Potentially. Who would it? I mean, I thought Amex got the higher end cards. They already have the personal card like $450. But Marriott's kind of held back on their status and things like that, so I think there's definitely room there. They've been pushing, their Marriott, like basically their version of Airbnb. So there's definitely another tier that Marriott could go to. The issue is like how expensive would it be? Because they also have a $450 card that's supposed to compete with the Aspire, but I don't think it really does a good job of that. So, I mean, do they need another premium card, or do they really need to like revamp the one that they have? Maybe it's a revamp of the one they have and they bump it to $550 that puts it, on par with, like, I don't know, that still seems expensive. Even for platinum status, it seems expensive though. So yeah, I think they'll try it, but I think it may be more of a refresh than anything else. Or maybe you refresh one, you put one in at $150 higher. But I don't know, what else would you want to see on the card, I guess? I mean, because you have the standard lounge access, Marriott status, things like that. Maybe a tie-in with an Uber, Lyft, maybe an airline. So, I mean, I just hope they get creative with it and it's just not kind of like a rebrand. But I could see that happening. Jimmy James, what would you do if you won the crazy Mega Million jackpot? No, I'm just kidding. We got to finish the show. We've gone 20 minutes on this. If I won it, I think it was like if you took the cash pad, it'd be like $600-something million. I mean, the first thing I do is I get a money person, a money manager, because you're talking about no one in your family generation ever should have to work again. I don't know how to deploy $600 million on my own. They would probably do that. I think you're going through just like, hey, gonna go back, take care of the parents, pay off their house, things like that. Probably gonna do a custom build house, but then where do you want to live? I don't know. I've never really thought about it before, right? So things like that. But I think the first move is you get a money manager and make sure you do it right, so no one ever has to work again, right? That's probably it. But yeah, I think it's take care of the fam, build the house you want, get it the way you want, and then kind of go from there. I don't have many debts. I might pay off the other houses just to do it, but at some point, I mean, it's not even bad debt. So I don't know. I really thought, funny enough, I've actually never bought a lottery ticket. That's why I'm so bad at this question. I really don't love the lottery. It just seems like not the best use of money for me. But my dad buys tickets all the time. Like one a week he loves to play. So, maybe I would give it to him. Like he's played so much. Like let me just pretend that he won. That'd be the nice thing to do. All right, Evan here, next one here. If you typically spend less than $500 a month spread out over several categories, does it make sense to focus on cards that offer other perks besides cashback or points? I'm thinking airline upgrades, various travel, things like that. So basically saying, hey, I don't spend a lot of money, so I'm not going to get a big return on cashback. Well, I mean, the answer is, like, if these perks work for you, then yes. So I think in theory what you're saying is instead of, like, most of us try to have, like, a bunch of category cards like we talked about earlier with the credit fraud question, does it make sense to just, I don't know, use the Delta Gold and the Amex Hilton Surpass, right? Use that for all my spend, rack up some points, and focus on the travel benefits? The answer is, yeah, it's a fine strategy so long as, you're going to use those perks. The Venture X might not be a bad card for you. You do mention, like, annual fees, but again, that's 2% back on everything. And then we talked about how, we do like the rewards program and things like that. So the Venture X might be a good card to consider, something like that, or you could go specific like an airline, hotel. But yeah, if you're going to use the perks, I think that's a fine strategy. It doesn't you're right, it doesn't really necessarily make sense to have like 10 cards and like be trying to maximize $20 a month. But again, I did just say I picked up the US Bank Custom or US Bank Cash Plus card to get 5% back on a $30 a month gym membership. So there's also that. Don't discount cash back just because you don't spend a lot. It all adds up. But yeah, if you're going to use the travel perks, I think that works. All right, last three here. DCG here. What can I use to trigger the direct deposit bonus requirements for Chase checking? Chase is tough because they know most of the tricks. I'll link to the Dr. Credit post down below. You can go through the comments there. Folks will usually post what's worked historically. Brokerage accounts are usually a good bet. Business checking accounts can work sometimes. There's other ways to do it. I mean, you can get like a Square account, like send yourself a payroll deposit, but the problem is I think it treats you like an employee, and someone's going to pay employee and employer tax on that potentially, so that can be tough. But I mean, there's really ways to do it, but the free ways, brokerage accounts and then business checking accounts, are usually your best bet if you're going to. All right, so Leo here, 2 questions. So greedy. You can answer just one if you prefer. Well, I've already put the picture up, so I got to answer them both now. Did you finally find a Detroit high this year to use your annual Delta Platinum certificate on? You know it's not a good pickup line? Hey, you want to see my card collection? So no, I haven't, but it is a funny story because it's really already super long on this video. When back in the day when I did have, I don't think it was the Ann Arbor hottie, maybe not Detroit, but I was wanting to get my 5% so much, so you gotta go out to dinner on the weekends and stuff. But I would go to, like, let's say it's groceries, I would go and buy like all the chain gift cards, like $25, and keep these gift cards in my armrest. I'm like, here's your options to go to dinner, but it'd be all the chain, like Applebee's and Red Robin, things like that. And now you know why I struggle with your first question, because no one wants to choose from a bunch of chain gift cards. But I got my 5%, so I don't know what her problem was. Number 2, friend of mine who is a cheap wants to ask me to recommend him a travel card, just one. The best matches these 4 criteria: good points return, airline priority boarding, some airport lounge access, low annual fee. What card would you recommend to my cheap friend? Well, like, the thing that makes it tough is the priority boarding, because that one skews airline card, right? But the airline cards, to get the lounge access, you got to punch up to the higher tier ones, the Delta Reserve, the United Club Infinite card. So priority boarding's probably out. But priority boarding's also like very overrated anyways, because everyone in my experience just gets up and rushes the line no matter what. So I would tell him priority boarding, as someone who never checks a bag, it doesn't guarantee anything, unfortunately. Hilton Surpass, probably your best option. Middle of the pack, good sweet spot. I believe it has like 10 priority passes that you can use. So there's some lounge access there. It's not widespread. So there's your lounge access. It's a mid-tier annual fee there, not bad. Decent points return, obviously, if you're staying at Hilton. But after that, yeah, I mean, other than that, I mean, you could go the generic one. Sapphire Preferred would be a good all-arounder, perhaps. Maybe the green card. I hate the green card, but maybe the green card, because it does give you lounge buddy passes. The multipliers are good there as well. Venture X is probably the best one. That's probably going to be too high of an annual fee for them. So, I mean, Hilton Surpass, again, you could go with one of the United Explorer cards, but that doesn't get you the lounge status. So something in that range, probably, the $95 to $150. But yeah, you might want to check out Hilton Surpass if he's a Hilton fan. If not, then maybe you're back to Sapphire Preferred or even the green card. Last one here, Luke's Points and Miles. He gave me the name Mr. 5X, I think, on his show. So what kind of deal would you give me on that Sea Dweller? I'll trade MR points in gold Canadian maples. What is a gold Canadian maple? I'm going to get killed for that in the comments. I don't even know what that is. Can we get a value check on those, please? Give me MR points. He's talking about, so like, if anyone doesn't know, I like watches. He's talking about this is a Rolex Sea Dweller. The other funny thing, I started wearing it more because I have a Rolex Sky Dweller as well, but I got both of them right before the price went up to a stupid level where you can't go in the store and get them, and now it's like they're trading like double over retail and things like that. So it took a long time to find, because I kept going to a bunch of stores and they were like, yes, you can sell it, buy it if you buy these other things. And finally I went to like a Rolex dealer. They're like 20% down, we'll call you in 6 months. It's like, all right, fine. And then they called me like 4 days later and like, hey, we got it, which really means they had it in the safe anyways. So no, even though I have smaller wrists, I do like bigger watches. You would think I'm an Apple Watch guy, but I really love real watches for some reason. And the last one on my list is the Omega Dark Side of the Moon. I think that'd be a good one. So no trade, man. Sorry, but besides, you look like a big dude. I say that with a compliment. You should go the James Cameron one. Get the deep sea, man. Do it. I think you should do it. That should be like, you hit 10,000 subscribers, go big. So, all right, guys, there's all your questions. We went super long on this, so if you made it to the end of this, I hope you found it entertaining. If you need more additional information on your questions, feel free to drop more questions down below. I already asked you some questions, and we got to get out of here, so I was like, thank you very much for watching. If you found it interesting, of course, press the subscribe button, because we're back here every week, with more videos just like this, Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. So, anyways, guys, thanks for watching. I'll talk to you very soon in the next one.